Hey, Jeff Muller here, Jersey Sports Guys, with you on a Friday night, right after the Mets and Yankees game tonight. And, of course, a lot going on with the Mets, and you probably know what's going on by now. I don't have to – if you didn't know, you didn't hear what was going on. Carlos Mendoza is gone. And it's funny because I talked about him last night and him not being the person who should have be blamed for all of this. He should take his share of blame in this. He made a lot of bonehead moves, a lot of questionable moves. His first year managing, his first year he has the big run. Everything goes well. The second half of the year, last year they had the fallout, the great start, and then the fallout in the second half of the year, which raised a lot of questions about Mendoza at that point, if he was the right guy. And he started to make those wrong moves that kind of really showed up in what he was doing. Okay. No surprise. I thought it should have been done probably a lot sooner than it was done with him. But it's done. You got to move on. The Mets should have probably done this back in April. Maybe they should have done it at the end of last year to get a clean slate and bring somebody in. Now you're in the middle of the year. You got 81 games in. You got a second half, which is going to be interesting to watch. Andy Green managed the Padres. Really didn't do a great job managing the Padres, but he was in the front office. Take my coffee here, and his name came up a couple of times. Kai Correa was probably the popular choice, the new guy and the new bench coach coming in. He was mentioned to come in and take over. But, the Mets now have the second half of the season, and they have to try to pick up the pieces here and try to get something done. Tough loss tonight for the Phillies, but the Mets looked a lot better. They played a clean game. They just look more cohesive as a team. They looked more together as a team tonight than what they have been looking as lately. So, give Andy Green some credit for the Mets not falling apart tonight. Give the Mets credit for not falling apart tonight. They hung in there. Ninth inning, they have Soto, they have Bichette, they have Lindor. Okay, what does Soto do? He grounds out. What does Bichette do? Pretty good, well-hit ball to third. Alex Bohm has to back up on it, throw over. Lindor gets on, but they don't get the run across as, Jared Young gets caught looking. So, we'll see what happens. This goes back to David Stearns, but this is all on David Stearns. This is really on Mendoza. Mendoza gets his share to blame here for what happened, but it really comes down to David Stearns and not putting a good quality team on the field. Okay. And then expecting Mendoza to try to pick up all these pieces. And again, he gets his share of blame here. He doesn't walk away without any blame here. He gets his share of blame for what happened. But a lot of this falls back on Stearns. And Stearns a couple of days ago and a couple of weeks ago declared that Mendoza and his staff were doing a good job. Now, I don't know if it's some kind of cover-up that he's, he was pretty loyal to Mendoza because, again, he could have pulled the trigger a long time ago on him, okay? But either David Stearns is playing his game. He doesn't, he thinks that he's going to win doing it his way. He didn't answer the questions about Mendoza, the forthright questions about Mendoza the way he should have. And again, you don't know if this guy is clueless and is thinking that this Mets team that he assembled by bringing in these guys that are out of position and putting people like Brett Beatty all over the place and not at one position, that's not good. Then he's clueless. Then he doesn't have a clue. So what's going to happen with the Mets? I think in the big off season, it's going to be number one is Stearns coming back. That's the big one. You got to bring Stearns back. 2, the manager. I would slide Carlos Beltran over there. He was the big rumor that was supposedly going to take over for Mendoza when Mendoza was struggling. He's a special assistant in the front office, just like Andy Green was. I kind of wonder why they didn't slide Beltran in now. Okay. That's the big question that you have to try to figure out. Why didn't they put Beltran in there now and not over Green? Okay. They had the chance to bring in Beltran now. Why not bring him in and just kind of, give him that shot again. AJ Hinch is out there, very good manager. Okay. How about Rob Thompson for the Phillies? Now, Rob Thompson came in. Remember, Rob Thompson, like Mendoza, was a Yankees guy with Aaron Boone, with Joe Girardi. Okay. Mainly with Joe Girardi. Okay. So Rob Thompson's out there. Maybe he's more of a similar copy to Mendoza in a way, but he was successful in Philly, had a good run. His problem is we couldn't reach that next level. They brought in Turner, they had Harper, they had Schwarber, they had that nucleus there. Couldn't get him over the hump. Couldn't get him over the hump. Came in, did a great job for Girardi. Maybe Joe Girardi's out there. He's out there, okay? The big name that is really gaining a lot of steam is Albert Pujols. I'm saying Luis Pujols. Albert Pujols, who nearly got the Angels job a year ago. And he has a great relationship with Juan Soto. Okay, and this goes from the World Baseball Classic. So I'm sure his name is going to come up more and more. A lot of Hispanic players were on the Mets making that connection. They thought Mendoza would make that connection as well. Here comes Pujols, ex-player. Maybe he's the answer, but it's interesting job in Mets because you have the core pieces there. You have some young players who are looking good, and I think you're going to see some more players like Jonah Tong. You're going to see more of him next year, maybe this year. Scott, the pitcher who got hurt, the young right-hander who got hurt, he's out there. McLean's out there. He can only get better, I believe. So the Mets' job is not the end of the world, okay? It'll be interesting to see how that whole process unravels. Yankees, Red Sox. You think Yankees, Red Sox can get back to where it was, that rivalry of the early 2000s and going back, way back to 1978 and, going way back into the 70s and in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. Interesting couple of games up in Fenway. Yanks tonight, Friday night, bad night, offense, only 3 hits. Okay. Will Warren has a bad outing again. Two outings, giving up 5 or more runs. Bad outing for Will Warren. Didn't get a strikeout tonight. So maybe that raises a red flag. He had a great start, struggling a little bit. But I would just like to see the Yankees, Red Sox come back to where it was. I think it'd be great for baseball between those two. The Red Sox. Interesting, but the Red Sox right now, because if they kind of climb back into this, they were rumored to get rid of a lot of people. Okay, rumored to get rid of a fire sale. The guy Wilson Contreras, who had a couple big hits tonight, he's rumored to be out of there, as well as Chapman. Chapman's been rumored to go to the Phillies. Okay, so you got to wonder what direction the Red Sox are going to take the next month here. If they start to gain some momentum, come back into this thing, maybe they rethink this and stay with their guys for the rest of the season. If not, I think they're going to start peeling these guys off, and they're going to be in a rebuild mode as well. But it's good to see if Yankees Red Sox comes back. I think it's good for the game. And, I don't know how you feel about these uniforms. I just don't like all of these new wave uniforms we're seeing from all these guys. The towns on their uniforms and some of the colors. You see some of these teams with these colors. How about the Red Sox wearing green, like a light green, lime green uniform, having Red Sox across the front? Does that make any sense? That you're seeing a Red Sox uniform and it's green? I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see how this breaks down. And with everything going on, and again, I think this will be interesting to see what Steve Cohen has to say and how Steve Cohen can steer this ship for the Mets in the second half of the season. And at the end of the year, at least there's going to be some drama with the Mets at the end of the season, no matter if they win 60s, they end up in the high 60s with the win total, or 70s, low 70s. There'll be drama there to see what happens with David Stearns and how Steve Cohen reacts to all of this. And again, bringing in a manager, big move. All right, wrap it up tonight. Two things I want to mention: my Bogota boys, the Bogota boys from St. Joe's Academy in Bogota. Joe Mitchell, great young man. He told me about his brides, his grooms for his wedding: Eugene Roach, Michael Beecher, and Taras Bodner. I want to shout out to those guys. I had those guys in class. They're terrific young men, and along with Joe. The Bogota boys. I want to hear some more about the Bogota boys. And if you're watching, I wish you the best. Like I said, we're trying to get up there. I know Mr. Jusick, Paul Jusick, and I, we tried to do a reunion with you guys, and maybe we can still do it at some point and get everybody back together. But Joe and Taras and Eugene and Michael, I wish you all the best, okay? Hot dog joint of the night, Johnny and Hangers. Haven't been there in a while. I tried to make a stop there my last time up, but have to get there again. I enjoy their dogs in Fairlawn. Johnny and Hangers, another New Jersey hot dog institution. We can't get enough of those. Thanks again for watching. Give me a subscribe, give me a like, send me a message. We'll talk to you over the weekend. For my fans, anybody listening down south, we're going to get into the Jaguars. We're going to get into the Dolphins. We're going to talk to Panthers, Tampa Bay Bucks. We will get there. I know there's some stuff. Just mention the Jaguars. They did extend Brenton Strange, Penn State tight end. He could have a big year for them. He really had a breakthrough year for them last year. So keep an eye on Brenton Strange with the Jaguars. But we'll get more Jaguars. We'll talk more Southern, mix it up, North and South, and see what happens. So hang in there, guys. Wish you all the best. And I'll talk to you again soon. Take care of yourself.